Hi, everyone. You're listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Kerry Diamond, coming to you from Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York City. Today's guest is Sana Javeri Kadri, the founder of Diaspora Spice Co. Sana joins me to talk about her brand new book, the Diaspora Spice Co. Cookbook. It features 85 recipes from the company's farmer partners, and it is a beautiful culinary journey through the history of diaspora. Some of you know this, but Diaspora doesn't work with a middleman to source their beautiful turmeric, black pepper, saffron, cardamom, and other spices. They work directly with the farmers. So Sana and her team have gotten to know these folks over the years and enjoyed many a meal with them. We also talk about Sana as a business person and how she's grown and evolved in that role over the years, and we cover financing and bootstrapping a business as well. I love talking to Sana, and she has been such a big part of Cherry Bombe over the years, from speaking at Jubilee to being on the cover of our magazine. She's inspired me in so many ways, so I am thrilled that you get to hear from her in just a minute. The latest issue of Cherry Bombe's print magazine is out. The theme is Mom's the Bomb, and we celebrate motherhood in all its various forms. I love that our 3 covers feature some of our favorite culinary creatives with their moms, and that the cover stories examine their deep bonds and how the mothers and daughters have inspired each other over the years. The issue also features beautiful essays, recipes from some of the season's most popular cookbooks, and lots of gorgeous photos, all printed on lush paper. Our magazine is a real treat for the senses, and I would love for you to check it out. Visit cherrybombe.com to order a copy and check out back issues, or head to your favorite local bookstore, culinary shop, or magazine stand. Places like Maison Fiore in Healdsburg, California, East Elm Kitchen Co. in Plymouth, Michigan, Moon Palace Books in Minneapolis, and Smoke Signals in San Francisco. Now, let's check in with today's guest. Sana Javeri Kadri, welcome back to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Thank you. It feels very full circle.
It's so nice to welcome you back as a cookbook author.
I never thought it would happen, but here we are, finally.
Here we are. And you've done so much over the years, and so much with us, which I have to thank you for. You've been a cover star. You've spoken at Jubilee.
Honor.
You've been on the podcast before. So it's really exciting now that you've written the cookbook, and we can talk all about that. Welcome to New York.
Thank you. Terrible weather to be in New York.
Sorry. But hey,
suffering.
It could have been a blizzard.
Yeah, you make a good point.
It is pouring.
But then, Mom Donnie would have told me I had a snow day, and I would have felt special.
That's true. He must be like, what is going on with this weather? Since he has been mayor.
It's just been dumping.
Oh, my gosh. And I'm sure you still see you've seen the mounds of snow.
The dirty,
everywhere.
dirty mounds that all the dogs are peeing in? Yes, I have.
They're so sad. I'm like, oh, my God, that is such a New York mound of snow. It's disgusting. Anyway, we'll talk about less disgusting things. You do come to New York a lot, though.
I do.
Not like we haven't seen you in New York in a while.
I mean, I feel like this is where the food industry happens. Mm-hmm. I love the Bay. I love my life there, but it is quiet. Mm-hmm. And now I live in Menlo Park, and that is even quieter.
Yeah.
So if you want to run a company and do business, you come to New York.
What are you obsessing over these days? Let's start with something fun.
Oh, gosh, so many things. I mean, I think the thing I'm most obsessing over right now is skincare and curly hair stuff. And I'm sitting in front of you where it's dumping rain outside and your curls are perfect on your forehead. And I'm so grumpy about it.
This never happens. I woke up with the bang.
Just behaving. I'm here like a wet cat.
This might be the first time in the several years I've had bangs that happened. And I did look in the mirror and I was like, what's going on? Why can't my bangs look like this every morning? But yeah.
I mean, I think, I started the company at 23. And so food and spices and running this company has been my whole identity. And in the past year, as our team has just stepped up and been incredible, I have become a stepmom and I cook toddler dinners. And I've also realized I have curly hair at age 32. So
that happens. Mine's gotten curlier and curlier.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I think, in India, culturally, there's this real push to straighten or for it to be oiled and tight back. But if you look at my father, who is my genetic material, he has tight curls. So obviously that's where I came from. But I spent 32 years being told I had frizzy hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mine's always been curly, but when I hit menopause, I have ringlets. I mean, you can't see it today because I brushed my hair yesterday.
Lucky.
Right, but you kind of have to learn how to manage curly hair. It's not just wake up and walk out the door.
It is pain, for sure.
I don't know about pain, but it's work. It's definitely work. My brother, in fact, even asked me if I got a perm.
Really?
Isn't that funny?
That is hilarious, that your own flesh and blood.
Yeah. He didn't really want to have the conversation about how it was menopause that's made my hair curly. He really didn't care
The
about that.
more men learn about menopause, the better we'll all be.
I think that's true. Well, I'm obsessed with your little flick of, I promise this isn't going to turn into a beauty podcast, but you have the most perfect little flick of fuchsia
I just
eyeliner.
wanted like a little pop of color on my face, and I knew that this was going to be audio only. So I was like, I just need a little joy. I also ordered like orange, yellow, and pink liquid eyeliner. I have no idea. I'll send you a screenshot.
Look when you get home.
It was like $8.
It's so much fun. And you have a fabulous like pistachio green quilted jacket and pink pants.
Pink pants. On brand.
On brand. I saw you the other day, Padma Lakshmi's party for the launch of her new TV show, America's Culinary Cup. It was fun seeing you. I don't see you at New York food parties, so it was fun seeing you.
Padma has been such a special collaborator to us, and like really just given to the point where I, will sometimes text her team and be like, I know we're paying her, but beyond that, what is she getting out of this? Because she's being so generous with us. And to her credit, we launched this blend with her, a gunpowder podi, which is basically a South Indian spice blend that is nutty and crunchy and has some roasted lentils in it and very spicy. And it launched on October 15th. And before Christmas, we were completely sold out of a production run that was supposed to run us through the summer. So Padma sells in the best way.
Yes. And she has really been supportive of that. We did an event with her and she was like, can we sell my Diaspora collab there?
Oh, I'm so glad.
And when she did her cookbook launch on the Upper West Side, she had it there with some of the collab treats that some of the local bakeries had made. So I think she was very proud of that collab.
She is. And it's coming back in a couple months.
Oh, fantastic.
Bigger and better.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What does bigger and better mean?
I can't tell you yet.
All right. Stay tuned, folks. And you know what? I said the name of your company. And when I was on the subway coming here, I was like, I want Sana to say it for all of us who I've heard so many different pronunciations of it. So how do you say the name of your company?
So I say Diaspora Spice Co. That's how I grew up saying it. But I want to flag that in Spanish, it's diaspora. And so I'm just as happy with diaspora or diaspora. But yeah, it's meant to encapsulate all of us and like all of our movements around the world. So however you speak, you are welcome.
Beautiful. And I think I've said company a few times. So it's good to know that you say co.
I say co. Yeah, because it's like, the buds, the co.
I love that. So saw you at the pizza party for her new TV show. Did you do anything else fun while you were here?
Oh gosh, we have done so many incredible things this trip. So on Friday, we launched a collab with Radio Bakery. And I mean, there's a lot of incredible bakeries in New York, and we have worked with a lot of them. The rigor and quality that Kelly brought to recipe development and collaborating with us.
Kelly Menson, who's the head baker. Mm-hmm.
I was just amazed by her. She studied, she went through the book and she studied and she created these two bakes. One was a samosa croissant. It was like perfectly crackly on the outside. Like it had crunch. She did a green chutney that like went with it. Crunch.
Go back. What is crunch?
I don't know. The like crunch, but like more audible, like crunch. I don't know. Did I make that word up? I'm not sure if it's a real word. You might have made it up,
but you know what? I think we all completely understand what you're getting at.
Exactly. And she did a green chutney from the book to actually dip it in, which the rigor. And then she also did a watlapam spiced bun. For folks that don't know, watlapam is kind of a coconut milk and egg-based Sri Lankan custard that's spiced. And for the cookbook, Asha, who's our incredible recipe developer, she turned it into like a spiced coconut crumb caramel. And then Kelly took that and filled these delicious buns with it. I don't have a sweet tooth, and I ate 2 in one morning. And every day they were available Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They sold out before 9 a.m. Oh, no,
not surprised.
People lined at 9. They were sold out by 10:30.
Yeah. Yeah. They are a popular place.
So we were lucky to have radio. And then last night we did a dinner with hags. And, we've always said that we're a queer business. We've been very proud of that. And so to work with a fellow queer restaurant who are just so revolutionary in their hospitality and their approach to like a workplace and leadership, just from spending an evening with them yesterday, I left having learned so much about how to lead a team from Telly and Camille. And my mom was at the dinner and she messaged me late last night being like, Sana, I didn't know any of the context around hags, but I was so touched by how thoughtful their hospitality was. I think a lot of restaurants could learn from them. It's iconic.
I think they could. That's a great place. And it's so interesting to hear that from you about what you learned, because you have been such a leader in terms of running a queer business. I mean, you even have a queer business manifesto.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah, I think for me, I said this at the beginning, but because I started the business at 23, I was a little baby gay. I had a really bad haircut that was like growing out. I wore these, I mean, I still wear the same ridiculous jumpsuits. Like the jumpsuits have stayed. And all I wanted at that point was like space to call my own. I wanted to be my full self at work. And I had this like, I think, deeply idealistic, wide-eyed belief that other fellow like queers would want that too. And now I think, you know, being a queer business represents so much more. It really represents our values and when we are called to action and when we are accountable to our community. Like, I think there are times when, as a 32-year-old stepmom to 2 toddlers, I'm like, yes, the world is on fire, but I'm really tired. And do I need to step up to the plate and like make a statement? And our community, in the gentlest way, will hold me accountable and say, like, you have such an audience. And if you give us direction and if you tell us how to make an impact where your politics lie, we will listen. And then I will, like, you know, take off my sweatpants and do my research and work with our team and be public about what we believe in. And it's really been a guiding light, like being publicly accountable as a brand is both really, really hard. And I feel like it pushes me every day. I love it.
We'll be right back with today's guest. If you're not following Cherry Bombe on Substack, I would love for you to head to cherrybombe.substack.com and subscribe. You can subscribe for free and get lots of great content, like our Radio Cherry Bombe newsletter on Mondays, our Saturday baking newsletter, so many great recipes, our gift guides, and my series on opening a restaurant. You can also become a paid subscriber for $6 a month or $55 per year and get access to exclusive content, like our magazine cover stories and discounts to events, including our upcoming Jubilee in April. You also get to attend our monthly member meetings on Zoom. We just had a great one last week with Catherine Kunzig Murphy, the food stylist on the movie Wuthering Heights. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh, it was a fascinating conversation. We talked about those giant strawberries, all the eggs, so many eggs, the tablescapes, the cakes, the fish and aspic, and of course, Jacob Elordi. Again, head to cherrybombe.substack.com for more. The link is in our show notes. We would love for you to be a subscriber. You've done so much with intention as someone who's followed you from the beginning.
Kind of from day one. I showed up with my turmeric bottles at that Cherry Bombe in 2017.
At Jubilee. Yeah, it was the one at South Street Seaport.
Yep.
I remember that one.
Yep.
That was a very fun Jubilee. Yeah, I mean, we've been watching you forever. And I mean, you do everything with intention. But not only do you do things with intention, you never take the easy way out, babe. Not
I kind of wish I did sometimes.
I know. And because you know what? I was reading about the cookbook and I was like, oh my God, once again, she never takes the easy way out. She decided to make the hardest cookbook
humanly possible.
She possibly could make. We kind of did the same with our cookbook. You know, it was 100 recipes from 100 different women. And I didn't know anything about recipe development or that recipes are really like a language. Yeah. Even the people who write them down, I'm not even talking about the ones that aren't written down, but the ones that are written down, everyone approaches it like their own personal language. So having to turn that into one language, oh my gosh, I was like,
really
what did we bite off? Tell us how you put this cookbook together and what this cookbook is all about.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you're right. In retrospect, like, what if I had just taken the beautiful recipes that Asha already develops for us and put them into a cookbook and they just happened to be spiced? Would have been done in 1 year. Instead, what we decided to do is my best meals for the past 9 years of my life have been sitting cross-legged on our farm partners' floors, eating like super fresh, seasonal, delicious farm food. And I was always struck by the fact that you just couldn't find that food anywhere, like not in a restaurant, not in a cookbook. And so often, especially here in the West, like the perception of South Asian food will be chicken tikka masala, naan. Those are delicious things. My brother orders them as takeout all the time. But they're really heavy and they're really greasy and they're not how I eat at home or how our farm partners eat at home. So For me, this book was about, one, showing people that South Asian food can be seasonal and fresh and farm to table and really vegetable forward and highly cookable. Like it's what you can make on a Thursday when you just need something crunchy. And so that was like mission statement number one. But I think the second point was who's in charge of the archive and who gets to control the narrative, right? When I was growing up, I grew up in India, but when I thought about black pepper, I think about tomato soup with black pepper and croutons on top because that's what my grandma would give me. And that's the only time that black pepper was visible, right? And honestly, for my grandma, like British food and like Western food was way more aspirational than Indian food. And so black pepper was elevated with the tomato soup with the croutons, buttery croutons, she would always say. Or, I would think about cardamom and I would think about a cardamom bun, which is delicious. But I myself didn't know that black pepper and cardamom are indigenous to the country I am from, specifically Kerala, and cuisines have been built on these spices for thousands of years, like not 100, not 500, but like tracing back 3,500 years. And so how do we now reframe that so that when you think about black pepper, you think about Shirley Auntie, who is in the hills of Kerala, whose family has been growing this regenerative pepper for at least 2 generations, and she makes the most intense sardine and pepper curry that is just life-changing and sinus clearing. And that's what I want people to think about. Or when you think about cardamom, like I want you to think about Chachu Lucas, who runs our cardamom farm, and she makes this like really delicate coconut-based fish curry. It has almost no spices except a tiny bit of turmeric just to make it like that butter yellow color, and then smashed cardamom. And so the fish curry comes together in under 10 minutes because it's just coconut milk, burst cherry tomatoes, cardamom, turmeric, maybe a little bit of like aromatics with garlic and onion. And you have this like, it's just such an aromatic, like grown up dish. So that was my hope.
And I should explain that when you started building the company, it wasn't like you went through a third party to find the spices. You actually hit the ground, educated yourself.
Again, hardest route.
Yeah. And met with all the farmers and have continued to add farmer partners over the years.
So to this day, we work with about 140 regenerative spice farmers across 10 states in India and Sri Lanka. And I, to this day, still have visited every single one. Now my team visits them much more often than I do. But, I'll be there for their weddings. I'll be there when a cute baby's born. They really are our community. And they are all receiving their book this week. And I'm so excited because, so it's 85 recipes in this book. We traveled across India, Asha, Malati, and I, for almost 4 months and spent, between 3 to 5 days in each home. We left India and Sri Lanka with 180 recipes. And then we spent a year and a half culling those to the 85 that are in the book today. And exactly to your point, like I remember the Cherry Bombe cookbook. I remember I was working at Cosecha at the time, and you guys sent me a copy, and I was really struck that you had all of these women's voices, but it felt cohesive and there was a story told through all of them. And that was really the challenge here, right? I'm telling the story of Alia Mir in Kashmir and Amita Desanayake in Kandy, Sri Lanka, but I need my reader to be just as invested and understand who they are. And so I had to like weave the story through, and Asha had to test these recipes to make sure they made sense in American home kitchens. Like not a single one of our farm partners has an oven, but American home cooks have ovens. And so every single recipe had to be tweaked to use Instant Pots and ovens and roasting sheets. It was madness, but I also think it was epic, And I'm like so proud that my 20s were spent on this, because now in my life of like toddlerdom, I could never.
So you said you traveled around for 4 months, but this book has been in the works for 6 years.
Yeah.
It's a big chunk of your life. It's a big chunk of the company's life.
It's 2/3 of the company's life. Like we started working on the proposal with Asha and I still in masks in the pandemic, like in 2020. We were on my dinner table on 6 foot opposite ends of my like turquoise dinner table in masks, and me being like, will you work on this book with me? I have this vision, but a recipe developer, I am not. And, I'm so honored that she gave 6 years of her life to this.
Yeah, tell us about Asha for a second, because you've mentioned her a few times. She's your co-author.
Asha Lupi is my co-author. So Asha was working in specialty food in Oakland, same as me. So I was working at Byright in San Francisco, and she was working at Market Hall in Oakland. And we were both, marketing beautiful ingredients. And so I think we had an easy shared language. And she really just slid into my DMs. She made this beautiful turmeric dumpling wrapper with a lamb and cumin dumpling filling. And I was awed by her. And I think in 2020, I asked if she would come on part-time and do, maybe a couple of recipes a month for us. And that relationship grew and grew until I think 9 months later, I invited her to my dinner table to be like, will you make a book with me? And she said yes. And I think we are such opposite people. And to have a creative collaborator for 6 years who you then go on the road with for 4 months, it's a little mad. But I think what we got lucky with is we are complete opposites in the right way. I am definitely the spreadsheety editor who can be like, okay, but is that marketable, bro? And how do we make that more accessible? And she is the mad genius who can take, she watched these women make recipes in their kitchen, usually with no measurements. If we put a scale in front of them, they would move it away. If we tried to pull out a teaspoon measure, they were like, no, 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 no. So she was just completely freestyling it. And then she transformed that into measured, rigorous recipes. But I think we tag teamed in a lot of ways where I remember this day was 2 days before the manuscript was due. At this point, we'd been working on the book for 4 years, and she had not developed the dosa recipe yet. And I was like, girl, we got to develop the dosa recipe. And I think, she's such a perfectionist, and she wants to get it so good, and she does, that she felt the dosa is personal to, I think, several hundred million people, that she had a responsibility to getting it right. And so we got to the office, which was our test kitchen at the time, and we cranked up the music, and we were just like, we will be here until we get the dosa right. And we had all these different batters, those plastic kitchen containers of different batters. And in true Asha style, we got it right on the second go. I had booked out my day until 9 p.m. thinking that we were going to be making dosas into the night. And at 11 a.m., we had the perfect dosa.
What's the secret to a great dosa?
You'll have to make it. I'm not telling you. It's in the book, and you'll make it.
Okay, good. There are also beautiful photos in the book. Tell us about your photographer.
Yeah, I was very clear that this is ultimately a book about women. It's a book about the 40 women who both run and work on the farms that we work with, and their labor is so often uncompensated, taken for granted, whereas they're really the ones pushing culture forward. And so even when we were working on our book proposal, biggest line item was pay every single one of the women whose recipes we are sourcing and pay them American recipe development rates and pay them directly. So I knew that this was a book about women of color by women of color. We had been working with Melati, who is she's an American Indonesian photographer. She's also based in Oakland. She'd been working with us for a couple years. Again, I was like, are you down to spend 4 months on the road away from your work and family to do this with us? And same, she was an instant yes. And I think you only get that in a photographer's career once or twice, I remember that the Tartine cookbook was photographed over the course of, I think, a year or two. And now Eric is, this incredible, iconic cookbook photographer who doesn't have a year or two to give cookbooks, but he gave it to his first because that was with Chad. And I think Melati gave us something that I don't know that she'll ever be able to give again. I hope she does, but we are so grateful. She's just a master of light. So we were often entering these kitchens that are not studios or glamorous spaces. They are the spaces where the woman of the household is expected to feed her family and do it as efficiently as possible. So it's often a pretty dark space. And so Melati was just wild. She would take lights and stick them through windows and bounce them off of refrigerator doors. The photograph that is the second page of the book. So right when you open it, that image, beautiful there was picture. No natural light in that kitchen, but it doesn't look like that because she stuck lights through the chimney. So the chimney that had all the smoke going through, I was holding a light into the chimney that then shone onto Rani's face so that you could see her making this like stunning mango curry.
No, it looks like there's incredible sunlight streaming in.
Is not.
From a
That's
window.
Malati.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, and illustrations, right? You credit your
And Alicia
illustrator.
Nandra. Alicia has worked with me since 2018, so about 12 months into starting the company. They did like a funny little illustration of me on a Vespa.
I was just going to, on a pink Vespa, of course. I was just going to say there's a really delightful illustration of the company's history. And there
Yep.
you are, like very early on
the
zooming
pink
on a
Vespa.
Pink Vespa.
And
yeah.
that was the first illustration Alicia ever created for us. And, you know, like the history of Diaspora, we've had long-term collaborators who have continued to show up for us. With Alicia, since we have started working on this book, they moved from the UK to India to be with their partner. They've started like working with a more fine art practice and making really beautiful work beyond just the, you know, digital illustrations that they were previously making. And so for the book, we talked a lot, and I was like, listen, so much of this book is off the earth and off the land. And so in a way, like the bright diaspora pink graphics actually don't work. Like we snuck in a pink cover. A lot of our other like saturated colors are not in the book because we photographed everything on farm. We didn't shoot this in studio. We shot we filled in the blanks in studio, but the rest was on the ground. And so when we made the color palette for the book, it was browns and terracotta and mustards and every shade of green because half the time we were like photographing in the forest. And so Alicia actually changed their technique a little bit and used watercolor. And so all the illustrations in the book are watercolor. Same illustrator that kind of is synonymous with diaspora, but a little grown up.
You've maintained your positivity over all the years that I've known you, despite all the, you know,
all the hits.
SHIT that's been thrown your way so many times, you know, lots of things, but especially the pandemic and now tariffs. And how do you maintain your optimism?
If I'm being fully honest, it's therapy and antidepressants. You know, like I think I got to name it. Wellbutrin is really a wonderful thing. You take a little pink pill and you feel a lot better about the state of the world and like feel able to get up and fight. And I've been in pretty serious therapy, including most recently CPT, which is cognitive processing therapy specifically for people who struggle with PTSD. I went through a very hard 6 months of CPT. I went in with a very high PTSD score for just, you know, unresolved childhood trauma and came out with a score, like a 10 score, which is close to nothing. I just credit the fact that there is like science and people, incredible scientists and providers who can help you. So that is like my number one plug as a founder is mental health care. But beyond that, you know, yes, the past 9 years have been really hard.
Yeah, you launched your business in the Trump administration. And
I did. I launched it, I feel like, because of the Trump administration, where I was like, in this horrible time, I would like to create joy. And like, we owe it to ourselves to make space for queer joy. And now here we are again, right? And like last year was the tariffs. I think any small business that has survived the past 6 years has aged greatly in those past 6 years.
as have the founders.
Yeah, exactly. I have so much more gray hair than I ever expected to have at 32. But like, I think what recenters me every time is like the very marrow of this book, which is our farm partners. We are lucky to work with these farmers who are just growing new possibilities with the varieties of spices that they grow, with the ways that they do business, with the ways that they treat their laborers and their workers, and the hospitality and care and kindness that they show me and my team. And so anytime I'm burnt out, my COO, Win, she like just knows to send me to the farm. If she authorizes the budget for a farm trip, my burnout will be cured. So there's also like a method to the madness.
When I was reading your intro, I wrote down this one line that you had, the greatest joy of my job is harvest season.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to read that and to know that you still
do it.
Find so much happiness in that. And that you do it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, harvest season in South Asia, I mean, it kind of begins in August, but it kicks up in earnest December through March. And then some of our seed spices, you know, will trickle into the summer when you're relying on the heat. Summer in South Asia is between April and June. And so December through March is when everything is in bloom. The weather is perfect. No matter where you go, you can go to Kashmir where it's snowing and the saffron flowers will be dormant underneath the snow. And then you rely on the snow melt in order to feed them and irrigate them through the year. So yeah, I love it. About 2 weeks ago, I was lucky to be able to go back to Sri Lanka for the cinnamon harvest for quote unquote quality control. It was just a reminder that we're always evolving the work that we do, right? And so early on in the business, I was very clear that we will source from farm, but we'll also process on farm. So what we do is we're able to pay our farm partners usually an extra $1 per kilogram if they are willing to grind or mill or winnow on farm, so that what we're procuring for them is the finished spice that then you use in your kitchen.
Why is that important to you?
Paying farmers more, that's the answer, right? I think one is my motto has been, I want to give power, capital, and equity to South Asian spice farmers. So if I can pay them $1 more, that's incredible. But I think the second point is actually about quality control and about standards, is if the farmer is giving me raw turmeric, I'm in charge of drying and powdering it, and then that powder is coming to you. If something were to go wrong along the way, I'm in charge of the problems, right? And our farm partner can kind of throw their hands in the air and say, oh, well, we didn't know. It wasn't our problem. Whereas now what comes to you was processed and finished on farm. And so it creates a tremendous amount of pride for our farm partner and a sense of responsibility and accountability, right? So it goes both ways. You pay more and you give a higher level of responsibility. But what we've learned over the years is that was a great model for several years. It might not be the model today, right? So for cinnamon, we used to bring in a couple hundred kilograms, which is like maybe 400 pounds per year. We're now bringing in a lot more than that, right? We're probably bringing in 10x that over the course of a year. But we're doing it in small batches. And so if they're grinding your cinnamon on farm, I'm actually losing oil content and freshness before it gets to your kitchen. And so what we had to go and do a couple of weeks ago is rejig the entire model and the entire quality control system so that the women, Amita, Sumitra, and their gang of 10 who run the processing facility, rejig it so that they are now learning quality control for raw material, not for powder. Because they built a system that allowed them to test for powder. And now we are actually grinding in Mumbai right before it gets packed into your tin so that, the lag between completely sealed packaging to grinding is maybe a couple hours or a day at most. And that will hopefully make a big difference to this harvest when it gets to you guys' kitchens.
It's incredible to learn how all this comes together. You are selling 2 sort of spice kits on the website to go with the book, and you very graciously brought me one of them. Thank you. Do you want to talk about the spices?
Yeah, I would love to, and I can tell you what's in that box.
You can, okay.
You don't need to show it to me.
As I'm showing her all her own spices, yes.
So there is this assumption that South Asian food is complicated and hard, and you need a squillion ingredients. And yes, our ingredient lists are not short, but most of those things are in your pantry. So I wanted to make sure that I had, a kit that I could tell people that boss, if you have this, you're good. And so if you have these 6 spices, which is turmeric, cumin, coriander, fennel, black mustard, and black pepper, those 6 plus fresh curry leaves and tamarind concentrate. So I need you to have 8 ingredients. If you have those 8 ingredients, you should be able to make a majority of the recipes in the book with access to whatever grocery store you have. And, what I say with curry leaves is there's tons of online purveyors. You can get them at your farmer's market often. Actually, Telly, the chef at Hags, she cleared out H Mart 4 days in a row of all of their curry leaves in order to put together a menu for last night.
It's good to know they have them at H Mart.
They have beautiful fresh curry leaves. Yeah. And then tamarind concentrate. There's great brands, again, that you can buy online. So yeah, those are the 8 things that you need. If you have those 8, you're good to go. And I'm hoping that the book will make some of these spices less scary for people. I understand, the first time that I was tasked with making a steak, I think I use like Molly Baz's steak recipe, and she's really good at writing recipes in a way that is really, I don't know, no nonsense and straightforward. She's guided me through a lot of like fancy American cooking that I didn't grow up with. I feel like similar to like making your first steak, if me and Asha can like guide you through making your first dal in a really like friendly, thoughtful, clear way, we will have succeeded, and you will intuitively have learned how to layer spices. Because in order to make dal, you fry some spices at the beginning with your aromatics in oil. Then you add your lentils and your liquid. Then you like simmer some spices a little bit so you get that like, you basically like get spices and crunch at every layer. And then you add a tadka, which is spices that are whole spices that are sizzled in an oil on top. And ta-da, you've just figured out how to do like a 3-layer spice dish.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you as a founder and business owner.
Phew.
I know, because
Sure.
you have grown so much. I mean, you keep mentioning these teams and all of this, and I'm like, I remember when the team was you.
Me, with a side of me.
Exactly. How many employees do you have today?
I think we're sitting at about 30.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's pretty special.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations. No doubt you've learned a lot. I went back and listened to some old podcasts, and I should shout them out. Second Life, of course, Hillary Kerr. She does such a wonderful job with her podcast. And you are on this fantastic new podcast called That Ate, Queer Food Podcast by Justin Burke.
It was wonderful.
I think you're only his 4th episode,
Yes.
but terrific. But no, 2 great podcasts. And listening to them, I was just like, gosh, Sana's journey has just been nothing short of remarkable. So looking back, because we have so many entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs, I know it's so hard to say what would you have done differently because, you know, you have to make those mistakes to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
But we don't always have to do things the hard way.
I have a few things. Yeah. It's been a long road, man. Okay. So I think first, I was a young leader. I had maybe 2 managers before I started my company. So I was in like no position to be other people's manager, you know, but everybody would use this word culture. And they're like, oh, like team culture is so important. Company culture is so important. And I had no idea what that meant. And I didn't know how to create it. And so I went with how I had been when I worked as a line cook and like had colleagues and like we were all like fucking around on the line together, which was the wrong move. You know, I think recognizing that I was in a position of power and no matter what, whether my employees are younger than me, older than me, seem cooler than me, have more experience than me, I have the power as their employer and I have to wield that power very carefully. And that means being firm. And so I was a people pleaser for a very long time. And that is where go to therapy, man. If you're a people pleaser like me, there's a lot that therapy can do for you. It opens up a whole new world. And I had to learn that in being a people pleaser and not drawing firm boundaries, I was actually doing a disservice to my employees, to their growth, to the expectations I was setting of them, and therefore to the things that we could accomplish as a team. And I think I've come a long way now in being, I think, quite friendly. I'm very loving. I care deeply. We are not a family. We are a team. But I'm also quite strict. We have pretty strict policies. We have HR consultants both in the US and in India. A majority of our team actually sits in India, and a smaller part of our team sits here in the US. I cannot recommend hiring an HR consultant who is much smarter and much more experienced than you. I would say Marisa, who is our incredible HR consultant here in the US, has acted as a business coach, a mentor, because she comes with 35 years of people experience. You know, she was head of people at the MoMA before she went freelance. So like I get to get advice from like the biggest and the baddest. Incredible. Very good use of my money. And she's also guided us through tough exits, like beloved team members leaving. How do you do that with as much grace and love as possible? So yeah, I think my recommendations are be firm, build culture that has boundaries early on, and hire HR. It's really important. We as founders are not HR, and we shouldn't be. Our Indian HR consultant, Divya, who's also wonderful, you know, she's actually been able to mentor some of my managers in India because, yes, I can mentor my team members, but I'm 12 and a half hours time difference away. So there's only so much I can do. So giving my managers the resource that they can pick up the phone and talk to somebody with experience at any time of day is priceless. I think those are 2 of my really big ones. I think the other one for me is that the landscape has changed a lot, right? When I started with these like plastic bags that I had bought off of Amazon. I was printing at FedEx on craft paper and sticking those labels onto the plastic bags from Amazon. I built a Squarespace website. It was a pretty bad website. It was not functional. And then I built a Shopify website that was even less functional.
Shout out to all us founders who built our first websites.
Seriously. Like none of it was swish or swanky. It was very much like one foot in front of another, keep making it better, have vision. And I will say, like, I feel strongly that I am a creative director, but I had no taste for a long time. And I built taste over 9 years. But I think that, unfortunately, there is not as much tolerance in the market for that level of scrappiness anymore. And that makes it a lot tougher for founders. Like, I bootstrapped for 6 years before I took on investors. I've had investors for 3 years. And by that point, I was grown up enough. I knew my shit enough. I had a track record enough that I was in a position of power when I took investors, where I could be like, this is my business. It's pretty great. Do you want to be a part of the story? And I got these like investors who, you know, really believed in what I was doing and were vetted and kind and slow in what they expected in terms of their return. But that is the tricky part, is if we are in this economy where you can't start scrappily and you can't really do it bootstrap because the expectation is that it's very polished, you have to take money from just about anywhere, right? And that often means that you're taking VC and PE money from the get-go. And I have nothing against that money. It's great growth money, but it's money that only works if you have a growth graph that looks, you know, like a rapid curve going upwards. That hasn't even been the Diaspora story, and I think we're pretty successful. Our curve is like, woo, and pretty bumpy. So, yeah, I think figuring out where you get your money from based on what you know your growth can be and how much control you still want to have 5 years in, and then, you know, coming out with as polished or unpolished of a version based on that. I would say it's tough out here.
Yeah.
2026 founders have it way harder than like 2017 founder.
When Instagram was also
Instagram was lovely back then. It was so easy.
For all of us founders. It was. It's interesting talking about money. I've been doing the Substack series that I just started about opening a restaurant. And the last essay I did was on raising money. Yeah. Because when I had my restaurants, you know, I maxed out my credit cards and was lucky to have a 401k, but broke into all my retirement money. Yeah. For the longest time, I always thought it was my only option. And it was so interesting talking to all these women about how they funded their restaurants and cafes and bakeries. And so many of them did the same thing. They had no options. But some patterns came out of it. And I was like, okay, there is the SBA. That's not always an option
100%,
for everyone, but it exists. And we just plunged right into it. We didn't do pop-ups. Yeah. We didn't do collabs. I think there's something to be said for stepping back a little and kind of surveying the landscape and figuring out why you're doing this, what your idea of success is, what happens if it's not
before
successful.
Jumping into the deep end. Yeah.
All of those things. There are crowdsourcing opportunities, you know, that we've taken advantage of, Kickstarter, and we also did a WeFunder, which is a different kind of crowdfunding.
You're still taking equity or giving equity.
But I do think there are ways, even if you don't think you have options or access to capital.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we ran pre-order campaigns for the first 5 years. That is how we funded the business. Is we would say, this is the harvest. If you would like it, I can't really guarantee when it'll come to you. Could take 3 months, could take 5 months. If you'd like to wait that long, please buy it. And people were willing to wait, you know. Of course, like that at some point runs its course as you grow as a brand, where I don't think our customers today will be like, yeah, of course I'll wait 6 months to get my turmeric.
I don't know. I think your customers, we're all insane and we love what you do. Of course we would.
I appreciate that. But actually, you know, there's this incredible queer bar in Oakland called Friends and Family, run by Blake. Blake is incredible and unfortunately is shutting it down as of a couple months ago. But Blake's former chef, Allie, is now taking it over, and it's going to be repurposed as a more of a bar and community space called They're There. And Allie just opened up a GoFundMe and said, listen, like, I want to make this a space for us. Whatever you can donate to this, please do. And, you know, they've been in the community working their butt off for a decade. We all know them. We know the space that they will create for us, and we know that the food that they'll give us. And I think it's been 24 hours and they've raised $10K.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to the GoFundMe in our show notes.
Incredible.
Definitely there's something to be said for proof of concept.
Yes.
And creating a community in advance.
100%.
And then I think it's easier to lean on that community for financial support.
Yes. I mean, I think, we grew so slowly and intentionally in that, like, we did one spice and then another spice and then another spice. And we've tried so many things along the way. And I never thought we would be doing spice blends. I was anti-spice blend when I started the company. But it was enough of our community pushing for it and asking for it. And now I can't imagine the company without spice blends because they make us all our money. So it's also, I think, a listening game. As a founder, you can have a really, really idealistic, like strict vision. And I think it's important to know when to throw that out the window and say, actually, my community is showing me something completely different and I'd like to rise to the occasion.
I also want to talk about bootstrapping.
Yeah.
I had certain naive ideas about bootstrapping.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of pride in the fact that I had bootstrapped Cherry Bombe and the restaurants. But now that I look back, I almost wonder if bootstrapping is just like a load of you-know-what that's been served to us.
Yeah.
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
And why do we glamorize bootstrapping so much?
I mean, I feel like I have the good and the bad of it in that I remember we hired a fractional CFO in February of 2021. So we were still bootstrapped at that point. We'd been around for about 4 years. I was meant to take a vacation. And 1 week before the vacation, he showed me the cash flow model that he had built. And I had never had a cash flow model up until that time. I didn't really know what that was. And he was like, yeah, so you're going to run out of money next week. And I was just like, full panic, lost my mind. And at that point, shout out to SBA and shout out to Amex. Like, we had a really large Amex credit card, like, potential. We maxed it out. And that's how we got through 2021, because it's still, even if you go into fundraising, it takes a year. It's in our case, it took, about 9 months to fundraise for the first time. So what do you do in the meantime? You use your credit card. But I do think that for me, the pros of bootstrapping is I wasn't answerable to, now the 75 odd people that I owe a quarterly financial report and summary to. And as a super young founder who wasn't that financially literate, I'm glad. Because if I had to write those financial reports back then, they would have looked like chaos. And I feel like so many female founders took money really early on and eventually got ousted from their companies because they were put into positions that they were not fully equipped or mentored to handle. Mm-hmm. And so I feel lucky that I was able to ramp up my skills and my understanding of being, a very CEO-y CEO, not just a founder, like somebody who's looking at the finances and figuring out payroll and all of those things. I had time to do it before I took on the money. But you're totally right. If I hadn't taken on money in 2021, I don't think Diaspora would have survived, very frankly. I come from significant privilege in that I grew up in an upper-class family in Mumbai, and my parents gave me the initial money to start the company. And I'm so aware that, without that cushion and that, 100%, fallback option, I never could have done this. But my parents both still work for a living. There's no trust fund. I would be taking their hard-earned money to continue anything further. At some point, it would have just been that the cash flow model of this business does not make sense, and I am not running a charity, and I'm not making a salary, so I can't do this. And that is where lines of credit and investors come in very useful and help you build systems that can grow into a sustainable long-term brand that I think will be around for a long time, whether or not I'm leading it.
I didn't know what a line of credit was back then.
Neither did I, man.
Yeah.
They're incredible. I highly recommend.
If you have a business and you don't have one, look it up.
Get a line of credit.
Run to your branch, your bank branch, and talk to them. Tell me about some of the upcoming book tour stops.
We're going home to the Bay Area, so it's our hometown hero week. There's Olivia and Daisy, which is an incredible bookstore in Carmel Valley, and they're not just doing a book talk, they're doing a full dinner. And I think there are actually some tickets available. So if you are near the Carmel Valley, please come. There's a feast. And then, of course, we're doing a book talk with Omnivore. And actually, I went to Omnivore in 2015 as a college junior. My mom took me, and I stood in the store and was just like, Mom, I want to do this when I grow up. And I have a photo and an Instagram post actually from 2015, the day before the Omnivore event. I'm going to pull up that Instagram post from 2015 because I literally said, this is what I want to do when I grow up. And 11 years later, I grew up, and here we are.
That's beautiful. Omnivore Books in San Francisco. We love them. They've been a huge supporter of ours, too, over the years.
Celia is the best.
Mm-hmm. Any other places you want
to shout out? I think those are the two that have spots available. They're both going to be like really nerdy, in-depth conversations. We're going to like get into it. All the other stuff is very sold out because I love our community and they snap that stuff up. We are doing a collab with Pidgeot Palace in LA. And I love Pidgeot Palace. They're an Indian American sports bar. They do some of the best okra fries and chicken wings and dosa battered onion rings ever. And they're doing a full custom menu in LA. The tickets for that haven't gone live yet. So if you stock their resi, you could get it.
Okay. Indian American sports bar.
I know. Pidgeot Palace is, they're just the best.
Okay. Very cool. Let's do a speed round.
All right.
What beverage do you start the day with?
Tea. Song tea is Shanlin Shi Oolong. It's beautiful.
And what do you put in it?
It's just the tea with the side of the tea.
No milk, no sugar.
No. It's me and my fellow kettle wake up and look at each other. And, you know, I pour my 87-degree Celsius hot water onto my oolong leaves. And until that happens, nobody should talk to me. And then I do it again, the exact same ritual at 3 p.m.
Beautiful. What's always in your fridge?
Ooh, yogurt. We're a big yogurt family. We do Alexandra Family Farms full-fat Greek yogurt. And we always have beans and rice, too. So beans, rice, and Greek yogurt is actually my breakfast most days.
Yum. What is your most used kitchen implement?
My chef's knife. 100%.
Your chef's knife, yeah.
Yeah. My dad got it for me as a graduation present in 2016. And I get it sharpened at Bernal Cutlery every quarter. And it's beloved.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out to all the listeners because I really effed up something last night. I bought a new bread knife, which is, I'm just obsessed with it.
Okay.
But I don't have one of those metal knife
Magnet-y things.
Yeah, the magnet things to where I can
put it on.
Put all my knives. And I have them in a drawer, and the drawer got jammed. And I cannot, for the life of me, open the drawer.
How did it, what?
I don't know what happened. I put the knives in nice and neat.
Oh, no.
Shut the drawer, and then when I had to open the drawer, one of the knives must have moved and jammed
and now
itself
you're
in
just
there.
Stuck without
and
knives.
I don't know. Is anybody out there an engineer? And the opening is not enough that I could
to wiggle
stick a finger
or
anything in there to move it around.
You shook it a bunch.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure my neighbor was like, "What?
What the hell are you doing?
F is she doing there?"
Well, I will say, not all kitchens, like including me, have the space for that like magnetic thing that goes on a wall.
I have a tiny kitchen.
I live in 800 square feet with 2 children. So what we found though is a magnetic thing that goes onto the back of the side of our fridge, and so the knives now go on there. So
I think they're gonna have to saw the front of because there wasn't even. It's that bad.
You could like pull the front of the cabinet out or the drawer out, right?
I was trying to figure out how to do that. I'm sure I'm not the only person in my apartment building this dumb.
I'm so sorry to
talk to my super.
Yeah, your
but
super.
If anybody out there has like an engineering degree or something, please DM me before I
like blow dry it so that it expands, or like freeze it, snap freeze it so it contracts.
Before I saw apart my utensil drawer. Anyway, okay, what was your favorite snack food as a kid?
Oh, 100% Maggi noodles. I loved Maggi instant noodles. I wasn't allowed them, so I would take the hot water to the bathtub and hide and make them in the bathtub almost every day.
What are you streaming these days?
Ooh, I have like the old classics, which is Grey's Anatomy and Bridgerton. I watched all of Bridgerton on the flight over here.
Did you catch the new?
All of it. To speed? I'm fully up to speed as of the flight to New York. Yeah, those are my top 2 right now.
Fun. Treasured cookbook. That's a good question. What's a treasured cookbook now that you've done your own?
5 Morsels of Love by Archana Piratala. It's this like heirloom cookbook that is regional Andhra cuisine. She self-published. She basically took her grandmother's recipes and then retested and edited all of them. And I had never cooked Andhra food before, but our turmeric, our Pragati turmeric, is grown in Andhra Pradesh. So I wanted to educate myself on the cuisine that this turmeric was grown for. and it's just become indispensable. It's somewhat of a cult cookbook in India. Like, if you know, you know. And it's available in a lot of American bookstores. So Kitchen Arts and Letters has some. Omnivore has some. Archana's amazing.
Favorite food film?
Oh, I think it's called 100-Foot Journey. And it's about like a French family and an Indian family. And they run restaurants on opposite ends of like a French road. And then the protagonists fall in love. And I just remember that he makes a sea urchin curry. And I remember being enchanted by the thought of it. And then when I was in Kerala a couple years ago, I got to try that curry and I was just blown away.
Oh my gosh, I love sea urchin. That sounds amazing. I haven't seen that movie in years. I'm going to have to rewatch it.
I know, it's a good, like, nostalgic, happy rom-com.
Mm-hmm. Dream travel destination?
I really want to go to Ladakh in India. I've spent a lot of time in, Jammu, Kashmir, northern India, but I haven't been to Ladakh, primarily because you need a few days to acclimate to the altitude. It culturally, artistically, musically, it just seems stunning. And I think that the Ladakhi people are doing an incredible job of preserving their culture and traditions amidst the influx of tourism and, preserving what is special about the place. So hopefully a summer trip to Ladakh is in my future.
Last question. If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I mean, shouldn't it be Padma? I feel like it should be Padma. She's great to talk to. She's really funny. She's a really good cook. I feel like she'd be resourceful. Yeah, let's say Padma.
She is a popular answer, which mystifies her. She's like, what am I projecting that people think I would be great, like in the outdoors on a desert island?
Yeah, I don't know about the outdoors, but neither of us are very outdoorsy. We both really like our creature comforts. But she'd be fun to chat with. Like, we would just shoot the shit and wait for somebody to rescue us.
You'd have a great time. All right. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your beautiful book. 6 years in the making, everybody. Oh, my gosh. All right. Wonderful seeing you.
Thanks, Kerry.
That's it for today's show. Thank you to Sana Javeri Kadri for joining me. Be sure to check out Sana's brand new book, The Diaspora Spice Co. Cookbook. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Joseph Hazen is the studio engineer for Newsstand Studios here at Rockefeller Center. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our executive assistant is Bridget Pittman, and our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.